So Elon Musk continues to stride forward in the open source AI arena. So Grok 1.5 was unveiled last week, and it is definitely performing better than Grok 1. So it's called 1.5, no doubts about it. It's a 128K context length, and it's achieving about 90% benchmark on GSM 8K benchmark and etc. Still not nowhere near GPT-4 level, but just see, I mean, the models are already hitting the 80th percentile. Most of the models, not just Grok 1.5 and the other models as well. So yes, we are definitely moving towards probably highly capable open source models coming in the future. However, my take is the speed at which we moved from 0 to 80% will be much faster than moving from 80 to 90 and from 90 to 95 and from 95 to say 99. I think the is going to be much slower from now on. That's my hunch seeing what GPT-4 and Claude has done so far. I could be totally wrong. Sam Altman keeps saying that GPT-5 is much bigger and smarter, etc. Obviously, he has to do his marketing stuff, but that's my personal take.
No,
Rishabh, over to
absolutely, Shiva.
you.
Yeah. See, one thing I think, and this is something that we've really spoken about like heavily in our previous podcasts as well, that the whole innovation metrics are going to change, right? While till date, whenever a model is released, what's focused on is how big the context window is, right? What's the use cases that they're actually solving, right? What is the number of parameters that it's actually trained on, and so on and so forth, right? So my perspective, Shiva, over here is that with the technologies that Meta and Google are actually bringing in, where context window will become infinite, right? It will become irrelevant, right? So your whole innovation metrics will change. But I agree with you that obviously, there is going to be a play, or there is going to be a stage where, all of these players will merge together to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and the level of differentiation that they'll be able to bring on table will be more at the implementation level than at the model level. Like at one point, all these models start merging from accuracy perspective and whatnot. But while that happens, the whole way that you're actually measuring the accuracy or the innovation of these models is definitely going to change over the next couple of months, right? That's what I'm really looking forward to. We will no longer be talking that, a model now has, 212K context window, right?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth, right? So that's what my perspective is.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what happens in the next coming months with this new model, especially with Grok. Let's see how long Elon Musk continues to go down this
See,
path,
my
given the
perspective
fact that,
again is that Grok, right, while obviously is an open source model, and I think we remember the podcast when Shiva was against open source, which was two podcasts away. But Shiva, at least from practical implementation perspective, I think it's not there yet. And I'm not complimenting more from accuracy perspective, right? It's the adaptability as well, right? While probably, Llama and Llama 3 released this week, we'll probably dive a little deeper into it next week and so on, right? I think Grok, and I might be totally wrong, we'll have to probably see as we move forward, is more of a gimmick from X's side, what they're actually using to probably market or probably stay relevant in this market. But I really don't see any practical implementations, at least in the use cases that they are doing right now.
no, see, open source, when it comes to, I'm not against open source, right? Because even at Lizer, we have an open source version. Uh, all the smaller technologies like databases, agent frameworks, I support the open source movement there. But when it comes to resource compute consuming technologies like LLMs, the open source has the same effect like a car that runs on water. It is environmentally friendly, all that is great, but it is just not practical to manage your own model on GPUs and fine tune them and then improve them. It's not just practical, to be honest. So
But
that's
speaking more
why, yeah,
just one perspective to that, Shiva, right? And I'm speaking more from the engagement that we've had with a couple of our customers, right? And there is a manufacturing customer that we're working with in India based, a pretty decent mid-sized manufacturing customer. The use case is pretty straightforward, right? It really doesn't require you to probably have an engine like GPT-4 running, right? So they're very cost conscious, and the use case is pretty simplified. We actually leverage Llama 2 to implement, right? So what my perspective over here is that there are still use cases that can be solved, right? While again, it becomes, as we've spoken about the three-part framework, right? Cost, data, and hosting, right? But there are certain use cases that can
Not
still be
that.
solved with open
No,
source.
no, not just that. Managing the weights and biases and improving the model output over a period of time. The administration work on the model is also quite high. So yeah, it just adds on continuously, right?
Correct.
So
But and that's where I started, right? The use case that with this customer that we're actually solving is a very straightforward use case, right? When I say straightforward, doesn't require a lot of training, doesn't require a lot of data and so on and so forth, right? So there are still use cases that we're seeing in the market, like that can be solved with these low-hanging models. I mean, and people are implementing it, right? So yeah, I totally agree with you that the overhead of managing is definitely higher, but then there are certain use cases that really don't require that overhead as well.